Hello, Sarah.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. Are you?
Good. I'm good. Just setting up my screen. Well, at least.
Oh, am I the only one here?
You are. Oh, we've got a few more just all popped up. So at least it's a bit cooler today.
Oh, it suits me better.
Yeah, me too. I haven't got my wet flannel with me this week.
Yeah. It's us people with freckles, we struggle.
Yeah, I know. I've got ginger skin. We're all coming in. Welcome, welcome. Are we all ready? Have we all got our special mug and our tea bag and our water and?
Yep.
Oh, look at it. Oh! Laura, you've got a fancy teapot. We've got two Lauras. Oh. You can do that. You could do the full, like, you know, visualization with the glass teapot. Kerry, you just look dressed for success.
I haven't got a glass teapot. I've got that.
Oh no, that will work well. A glass cup. I never even thought of that. That's a good idea.
Kerry,
oh, Emma's got one of them as well.
Yeah, I didn't have a glass teapot, but I had a glass mug.
Brilliant. Kerry, I feel like you've got like a whole new lounging wardrobe for these sessions.
Working my way through all my nighties.
Absolutely, Fab. Can you know? I was in Marks and Spencer's today, and they've got this whole new sort of. Well, I haven't seen it before, but it was like loungewear. Oh, so nice. It was like, you know, day wear, but for lounging, and it was all like really soft jersey material and stuff. Oh, look at your little dog.
Say hello, Pippa.
Hi. Yeah, we've got quite a dog community going with some of my classes. It's hilarious. There's a few of the dogs now. They recognise my voice. So the minute they hear my voice come on, the dogs all start appearing. It's really funny. Oh, there we go. We've got another one.
Yeah, she's sulking.
Oh yeah, our cat's been in a sulk because it was raining. She doesn't like it. Why is your dog sulking?
I just made it go out because I was like, there's no way I'm starting this session and then that dog wants to go out. So I've just made it go out. So now she's sulking because it's raining.
Oh, brilliant. Right. Oh, I'll just take my my little register. Right, we've got Laura, Emma, we've got Laura, we've got Sarah, we've got Kate is there.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Kerry's here. Oh, we've got a few more to come. So, yeah, so tea ceremony, very excited. I've actually taken part in one of these before. It was really lovely. It was years and years ago on a yoga retreat. And this lady, she was actually from China and had lived there most of her childhood. And she lived in London, but her business was importing tea. And she used to do these like little ceremonies, and she had all the fancy, those big metal teapots and everything. It was fab. So she did all that fancy stuff. But there was a lot of sitting in noble silence. And I'm like, oh, there's my mother. She just popped up. Hi, Jean. Hello, Mother.
Hello, darling. Are you
ready?
I am. Got my tea.
Oh,
in a mug. It's in a mug.
Excellent. So, yeah, I thought, yeah, when I did the little schedule in the workbook, I didn't quite sort of think it through properly. And then when I was finalising it all this morning, I was like, we need to start off with the tea. So then, you know, it doesn't have a chance for it to get cold. Righty-ho. So, we've got the mother. Oh, bless you. So I know there's a couple on holiday. We'll just give it another minwee. And then we'll get going. Ta-ta. So, I'm trying to think if I needed to, trying to think if there's another heads up. The visualization, I don't know why I always say it that way, visualization. You've got an option to listen to it and think about it in your head, or you can actually like journal it and write the answers. So just in case you haven't got a pad and pen handy, that is an idea. But if you are ready to go and fully prepped, I'll just give the cards a little bit of a shuffle and see what the cards have to say to us tonight. It says, ooh, union. Oh, fancy. Let's see what that one means. The root of all wisdom lies within. Where are you out of alignment? Now is the time to activate your inner wisdom and align the 3 brain centers in your body, your head, your heart, and your gut. Ooh, so this sort of links to a bit of what we were talking about last week in the vagus nerve. God, it's like I planned it, but I didn't. See, spiritual forces at work. The head brain is insight. It masters thinking, logic, and cognitive processes. It says, I think and I understand. The heart brain is intuitive knowing. This center of wisdom feels emotion, values, and relationships. It vibes on I feel and I love. The gut brain is instinct. It is where our purpose, identity, and sense of self are centered. It says, I have gut instinct. I have fire in my belly. All too often, we can get stuck in the logical thinking part of our brain, whilst the rest of the body is telling another story. Being out of whack causes confusion and quite often procrastination. Interesting. So there we go. Head, heart, and gut. So today we will start with our tea ceremony. So I'll just put my phone on a silencio. Now, I did give you a tune. I was going to say give you a tune. I didn't personally give you a tune. On the playlist, there is an option here if you want to put your music on, and it's the DNA Repair. So you can pop that on if you want. I'm going to use my little fancy, got some new ear doodads. I feel really fancy. So you can pop your music on if you want to.
Watch this short video to get 30 minutes of uninterrupted listening.
And then what I'll do is I will mute you all. Alrighty, so get yourselves settled in. So we'll start off seated because obviously there's going to be a bit of moving about, okay? So it's not so much about the relaxation element of it. It's about having that one-pointed focus and being very present on what you're doing. And we'll be using some of the senses to do that, okay? So I want you to make sure that safely you can access your hot water and your cup and your tea bag, okay? So what I want you to do first is have a look at your mug, okay? So I said to maybe think about using a mug that's special to you. I've got one. Mum, can you remember this? So my mum bought me this when I was 19 and I went to university, and it says take good care of yourself. So this mug is actually 28 years old. I did retire it quite a long time ago. Can you remember those little teddy bear things that were really popular? There's a few of you probably too young, but anyway. So I thought I would just show you my special mug. I don't even drink about it. It's on one of my shelves now. So I want you to have a look at your mug, okay? Particularly if it's special. I want you to think about if it has any memories for you. And I want you to think about if it has any kind of colour on it, any writing, any pictures, but just have a look at it. Is there any texture on that mug? Okay. If the water's already in it, then maybe you can feel the warmth of the cup. Okay. So just studying the cup, noticing anything on there that you have maybe not noticed before. So, taking hold of the tea bag and maybe have a little sniff at that tea bag, okay? Thinking about what's actually in it. Can you see it? What's in that tea bag? Is there any colour in there? And then popping it into the teapot or into your cup. And so think about, with every step that we take, being aware of what you're doing, even down to the movement of your arms, down to the little thoughts that are maybe popping up in your head, sending them on their way and just taking your attention back to the cup in front of you, to the water, and having a look in the water, having a look at the tea bag and seeing what's happening. And just noticing what's happening in the mouth. And maybe even closing the eyes. Closing the eyes, just taking a few breaths and visualize yourself actually drinking the tea. Now, if you've got a teapot, start to pour the tea into the mug. Watching the liquid pouring from the teapot, noticing if there's any steam coming up, noticing any changes in aroma, looking at the colour of the tea. If there's a tea bag in your cup, notice the colour. Is the colour deepening? Is the aroma intensifying? So we're coming to the point where we're nearly ready to have a drink, but there's no rush. I want you to have another little sniff of that tea, just enjoying the smell. And also just making any final adjustments to the tea. So if you add milk, if you take the tea bag out, we all have these little routines, these little things. And then part of a traditional tea ceremony is that we give thanks. We give thanks to the tea in front of you, which is a bit silly. It's a cup of tea, isn't it? But we give thanks for the tea. We give thanks for having the time to do this little ritual. And we just give time, we give thanks even to be grateful for having this moment. And then taking the cup to your mouth, slowly begin to take a small sip and notice the flavour of the tea. Notice the liquid on the tongue. And then just carrying on in your own time, closing your eyes maybe. Savouring each small sip of that tea. Noticing the aroma. Noticing the colour of the tea. Maybe even noticing the movement of your arm as you lift the cup, how it feels in your hand. The warmth of the cup against your fingers. Maybe think about the journey that the tea had from being a leaf on a tree and all of the time it took for that little leaf to end up in your cup. Maybe even envisaging that with every sip that you take, you are just sinking into an inner place of calm, even if it's just for a second or two. So just thinking about how simple and easy this would be to do on a regular basis, even just a much shortened version of this. And remember to always make space in your life for a cup of tea. So there we go. So it's just a little bit of fun. And again, it's like I've said with the chocolate meditation, for as much as it's fun, there's also, you know, the science behind it, just in terms of the focus, in terms of the tuning into the different, the senses, particularly taking our time, certainly drinking and eating, you know, do we take the time to enjoy the flavour, to enjoy the aroma? And so just thinking about all those things, like I say, there's certain countries, there's certain religions see this as a, that they make a whole ceremony out of this, a whole ritual out of it. And quite a famous monk, Zen master, Thich Nhat Hanh, if anybody's heard of him, he does this regularly. And I've got a nice little quote here from him. And it says, "Tea is an act complete in its simplicity. When I drink tea, there is only me and the tea. The rest of the world dissolves. There are no worries about the future, no dwelling on past mistakes. Tea is simple. Loose leaf tea, hot pure water, a cup. I inhale the scent. Tiny delicate pieces of the tea floating above the cup. I drink the tea, the essence of the leaves becoming a part of me. I am informed by the tea, changed. This is an act of life in one pure moment. And in this act, the truth of the world suddenly becomes revealed. All the complexity, pain, drama of life is a pretense, invented in our minds for no good purpose. There is only the tea and me converging." So there you go. And I will now admit that I'm a bit of a coffee person rather than a tea person. So there we go. But, you know, I do like a cup of Earl Grey. I'm not going to lie. My mother-in-law drinks that in Denmark, and she got me onto Earl Grey. It's very nice. And I then got my mother onto Lady Grey, which if any of you have ever tried that, it's very nice. So there you go. So like I say, a little bit of fun, but again, think about what else did you think about when you were drinking your tea? So it's that being present, it's that being focused. Okie dokie. So, different types of meditation. So I'm just going to have a little chat with you here about the different types. So we've already done quite a few different types of meditation, because this is our 4th module of our course. Doesn't time fly when you're having fun? So I thought that I would just give you the heads up on a couple of different types of meditation, some of which we won't be trying, but I just wanted to give you an idea of the different kinds of things that are out there, because what I've always said is that meditation is a very personal thing, and not only is it a very personal thing, but it can also depend on your mood and also what you're needing at any particular time. So actually, you know, we all have our favorite meditations or you know, visualizations that we listen to. But sometimes it just doesn't work. It doesn't hit the spot. You may be in a bad mood, or you're too tired, or actually you're too hyper, but you just want something that's going to take the edge off a little bit. So it's always nice to have a bit of a selection of things to pick from. I often talk as well about different accents. So I like a guided meditation. And if it is a female American voice or a male American voice, particularly like a really twangy Californian, no, it just winds me right up. A really strong accent in general, I don't particularly like, but I really do struggle with a very thick American male accent. I prefer a female voice, and I prefer a British female voice. That is just my choice. I don't mind, I'm not exclusive about it, but if I, you know, those are my go-tos. So you will find that there's certain things that you prefer, okay? So different types. So some people think that different types is more of a marketing thing, and so there is a slight element of that. But a lot of them do have certain theories behind them, okay? So the first one is Zen meditation, okay? So this is very much about the sitting cross-legged on a cushion or kneeling, counting the breath to quieten the mind. So it's a really sort of traditional, standard way of meditation that actually is what the media tends to associate with meditation. So if ever you see a picture in a magazine or there's an advert, there's always some dude dressed in white with a beard sat cross-legged chanting Om, okay? So that's pretty much what your Zen meditation is. Also can be called Zazen. I've seen a few people knocking about calling it that. Vipassana, don't know if anybody's heard of this. So Vipassana to me sounds like complete torture, okay? It's a 10-day, usually it's done in a 10-day retreat, and it is a silent retreat where you basically sit in a room for 10 hours a day, cross-legged, meditating. I think I'd rather eat my own head, okay? Anything that I've ever read about it talks about the real sort of physical challenge of it in sitting in one position. And if any of you have ever watched the film Eat, Pray, Love with Julia Roberts, she's doing a Vipassana retreat where they just sit. There's different elements in terms of they're reciting the Bhagavad Gita, but generally you will be sitting in silence. And if you remember one of the actresses in that, she has a little badge on with silence on. So she's actually not speaking. So that's pretty much, so yeah, I don't fancy that. I don't. I think, yeah, it's a no from me. But anyway, there you go. Some people do say that it's like transforming, and you know, they come up with the meaning of life for themselves when they're on these things. Awesome for them. Translates as loosely as insight. Okay, Vipassana. Loving kindness meditation. We're actually going to do that in our last module, with the theme's going to be about love. Okay. But a loving kindness meditation is when you cultivate positive feelings for yourself and for other people in your life, and there's a little bit of a script with it. Quite nice. I used a lot in the traditional mindfulness, cognitive-based therapies. So that's quite widely known. Breathing meditations. We actually started off with the breathing meditation. I think it was in our first session, and one of my go-tos. I really like that. Also really easy to do. And you can pretty much just crack on with that in the queue in Sainsbury's, should you want to. Visualizations, we're going to do that tonight. I'm going to talk you through one, but also you can do that in terms of actually looking at something. So it may be focusing on a flower or a plant, or it may be that you have a little statue. Some people will focus on a statue of a particular god that they're worshipping. Sometimes on a photograph, so on a person, or even sitting outside watching the sky, watching the clouds. Okay, so it's just that focus on one thing. Mantra meditation, or Om, is when you just repeat one word, which again has never been one that's really worked for me, but some people just like that, a repetition. And that then takes you on to transcendental meditation, which is what a lot of people talk about, like Russell Brand. And again, for me, I've always just seen that as a bit of a money-making thing. It apparently costs a fortune to do. You've got to go on a course. They then give you the word that you're going to chant for the rest of your life. And I've always been really bothered that they would give me a shit word and I wouldn't like it. So then can you change, all these questions, can you change the word? What if I don't like the word? Anyway, so that put me off, but also that you supposed to practice it 20 minutes twice a day. We then have a contemplative prayer. Interestingly, about prayer and chanting in any of the religions, there's been a bit of a study done on this, and a lot of it actually links to a long exhalation of breath as you chant or recite a prayer. And that's where you get a lot of the benefits from prayer, because you are calmed, because you are reciting a word or a phrase or a sequence of words, where you are doing a long exhale, which is where we switch into that relaxation mode of the nervous system. So, a lot of people who are religious and go to church, a lot of them find the prayer time really beneficial. And again, that if anybody, I know anyone that's a church goer, I always quiz them about their praying. What's it like? Do you get, do you always pray about the same thing? Do you what's the benefits? Is it like meditation? Yeah, they probably hate me. Last one is about contemplative inquiry. Now, I couldn't do this. Choose an unanswerable question and reflect on it. Exhaust your active mind's theories and then sit with only the question. Ask yourself the question, who am I? That would drive me crazy. I would literally go mental. I couldn't do that. Can you? Yeah. So, if you want to have a go, awesome, knock yourselves out, let me know how it goes. It just wouldn't float my boat. But anyway, there you go. So loads of different types. Now, there's a bit of sniffiness in the meditation community about meditation apps. I think apps are brilliant, okay? For a start off, makes it really accessible to people, particularly people like me who like a guided meditation. Very accessible to the younger generation who are very technology focused. The choice of free apps where there is really quality content is brilliant. Okay, so the one that I talk about the most is Headspace, because it's the one that I have bought the subscription for. But to be honest, I probably won't renew the subscription for it again, because over the last few years, the amount of content that is brilliant quality that is now available free, I think I'll save myself that 50 odd quid a year. However, if you were to buy content, Headspace is always the one for me where I've parted with the cash. Okay. But again, it's like any sort of developing area. A couple of years ago, there wasn't as much choice. Now, absolutely loads. I've put a few in your booklets. There's one called Budify, which I've never used. There's Calm, which is I've found really good. Calm has quite a few options for free content, but then there's also a membership you can pay for. There is also Insight Timer, which is brilliant because the majority of that is free, and that has got all kinds of stuff. Oh, Sarah's asked me a question. Please put in the chat if you've got any other apps that you've used. Shamanic journeying. Oh, is that like when you drink the ayahuasca and take all the sort of, you know, no. Shamanic stuff I always think of as like drums, and yeah, so the drums, but not taking the hallucinogenics. Sarah, are you wanting to confess? It's fine, you're in a safe space. But I haven't tried it. No, I'm lying. I did do one on a retreat that I was running, and the other lady that I was running with, she did it, and she had all the drums and everything. I did quite like it. She made like a little passageway with fairy lights that we had to go down, and you know, and then she saged us all and everything. So yeah, that's she talked about doing whole weekends of that though, where it is like a proper journey and where you're almost purging and wanting to sort of get rid of negativity, or if you've been through a particularly unpleasant experience. I know of people who have gone on sort of retreat weekends with a shaman, but it's not something that I know a lot about, but I always just think I never rule anything out, and you know, whatever floats your boat. Going back to apps, there's a few good ones that I've come across just recently. There's one called Just Breathe, which I actually used last week, and it was lovely. And the guy who runs it he does a podcast called A Quiet Place. I will put it in the booklet if I haven't already put it in this week's. But Just Breathe, that is lovely. I've said Calm. There's one called Sway, which is for fidgeters. It's a movement-based mindfulness app, but you have to buy it for £2.99. There's one that's also called Mindful Video, where there's meditation videos. You can access it. So a lot of them will do like free for 7 days. So watch out for that. I think that's it. Any other apps? 10% Happier. There you go. Created by news journalist Dan Abrams, promising no robes and no crystals. Free meditations, also from his 10% Happier podcast. So, or I always do say to people, if there's free content, have a go first before you part with any money. But particularly if you do a lot of traveling, bus, train, that sort of thing, I think an app is the way forward. And in fact, the woman who should be paying me, because I keep plugging her that much, Tara Swart, The Source, will be doing one of her things later on. She, in the book, talks about how she does her meditation on the tube every morning. Oh, well, she did anyway, before lockdown. So there you go. Ignore the snootiness about apps, I think, because I think they're really valid, and I think that they're really, really helpful and useful. Colouring. Now then. I used to think this was just another gimmick, but actually the colouring in, you can buy the books, and I actually did a calligraphy afternoon, which is not colouring in, but in terms of the focus and the concentration and the mind-hand coordination, the calligraphy was brilliant. And I actually said to my friend afterwards when we came out, that was like a meditation. That was amazing, because I even had my tongue out, you know, when you concentrate really hard and the tongue's out. I was doing that. Brilliant. So something like calligraphy for me really works. But I do know a few people that absolutely swear by the colouring in. And there is actually some science behind it. So in your booklet, I put the link to an article, 10 Reasons to Colour Yourself Calm. Sis, I did a fairy castle with my 3-year-old tonight. Does that? Absolutely. Fairy castles. Who's that? User iPad. Is that you, Laura? I could see you laughing. Yeah. Laura H and Laura D. We've got 2 Lauras. What I will show you is one that a friend of mine bought me. Mum, it was Carolyn, in case you're thinking. And sorry, I'll bleep now, so cover ears of kids and Monty and Pippa. Go fuck yourself. I'm colouring. Now, it's really, really rude. Mum, I'll bring it up so you can have a look. So this is what it's like. I've opened it at a non-rude word. It's about the only one it says damn, and then there's all sorts of colouring in around it. But honestly, oh, Laura Dunphy's got it. Excellent. Laura, it's absolute filth, isn't it? It's so, not only do you get a laugh, but you're colouring into, I can't even, oh, there's one there that says crap as well, an idiot. But honestly, I learned some new words, I'm not going to lie. And my language is quite fruity. So there you go. But the science behind the colouring can relieve stress. And it's because that concentration relaxes the amygdala, the little part of the brain which fires up when we get stressed. It also helps to spark brain activity because you're concentrating on what you're doing, especially if you're using different colours. And so it's activating the part of the brain that's responsible for creativity and logic. So actually, for little kids, colouring in is really, really good for stimulating their brain, but also for older adults who are wanting to keep the brain busy. So that sort of thing is really, really good. Can be used as a creative meditation. Psychologist Carl Jung believed that colouring mandalas helped patients experience many of the benefits of meditation, like inner calm and self-realization. Thought swapping, replacing patterns of negative thinking. So the focus on colouring necessitates concentrating on issues very difficult. So it's that switch off, okay? Self-soothing, it just helps to tap into that rest and relax part of the nervous system. Love this bit, make new friends, because apparently colouring is so popular that there are colouring chapters in certain neighbourhoods and cities, and it just made me think of like Hell's Angels. How cool would that be? Could you imagine rocking up to like a colouring gathering, and everybody's dressed up in like leather waistcoats and on motorbikes? How awesome would that be? I would go to that. Anyway, but I just thought the idea of actually having like a get together where you sit and colour in, thought it was brilliant. Walk the middle road for a while. Basically, you can't win, you can't lose. It's not even a game. You just colour. I thought, yeah, quite like that. It encourages you to be present. This one, it builds mental strength. And at that point, I was thinking, they just make some of this shit up to try and make a list. But actually, again, it's about the brain training. And because it's that concentration and having to be really focused on what you're doing, it makes the brain more efficient, logical, and mentally strong. So it's about this sort of repetition and building the neural pathways. And then it's an easy way to relax and have some simple fun. So there you go. But there's quite a lot written about this, and I do find it really interesting. And I suspect that any form of art would be similar, whether it's painting, whether it's photography, whether it's pottery, anything like that. but particularly again with painting, if you're thinking about the colour kind of thing as well. So there we go. The different types of meditation. So what we'll come on to next is one of our breathing techniques. We're going to do the square breath tonight, okay? So, square breath. Now, your tune for your square breathing is Dharana Focus, okay? So it's on your playlist. Now, for those of you that are interested in yoga and are interested in the scriptures, I have to say it's not my area of expertise. It's not even really my area of interest. We're forced to read things like the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali and the Bhagavad Gita when we were doing our training. You know, asking Reddit, I didn't read it all. But anyway, there's 8 limbs of yoga, which you may have heard yoga teachers refer to. And the 6th limb is dharana, and it actually means meditation. It means that steady focus, okay? So I just thought that was quite a nice little tune. So if you want to just have that going in the background, that is your option. And have a fiddle about. Like I say, it's just a bit of background music if you want to. So with this breathing, I'll just quickly explain it to you first. I know a lot of yoga teachers that absolutely swear by square breathing. Some people call it box breathing, and it's certainly used in a lot of different environments. So the Navy SEALs use it. I don't know if you've heard of Brené Brown. She's a really famous lecturer, and she's done one of the most watched TED Talks ever about shame and vulnerability. Also does a podcast, which I listen to. She talks, I've heard her talking about doing the square breath. And again, it just touches on that visualizing a square. And I always remember it as 4 by 4, okay? So if you want to visualize a square as you do it, you inhale for 4 up one side, hold the breath for 4, exhale for 4, and then hold for 4. So you're drawing that square in your mind, the 4 sides of the square with the 4 movements of the breath. The inhale, the pause, the exhale, the pause. 4 sides of a square, the count for 4. So that's how I always remember it, 4 by 4. So it's totally up to you if you want to stick with the count of 4. That's what I'll talk you through to start with, okay? Again, totally up to you if you want to be seated or if you want to lie down. Choice is yours. So I want you to just get yourself comfy. So whether you're seated or lying down. If you're seated, you might want to have your feet on the floor. Sometimes it's nice just to have the feel the floor under your feet, okay? But if you are lying down, just have a little wiggle. Check in if you need to have any support under the knees, or bring those feet onto the floor. So we'll just start to slow down the breath. Just bringing the attention to the breath and drawing the breath down into the tummy on that inhale, and then slowly releasing on that exhale. So we're just bringing the attention to the breath before we start to bring in some control. So I want you all to just take in a slow deep breath all the way down into the tummy, and then slowly exhale. And at the end of this next exhale, we will go into our square breath. So form one side of the square by inhaling to the count of 4. Hold the breath for a count of 4. And then form the third side of your square by exhaling for a count of 4. Complete the square by holding the space of the full exhale for a count of 4. Inhaling for 4. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. And then hold for a count of 4. Inhale and hold. Exhale and hold. So just continuing in your own rhythm. And notice what happens as you bring attention to the spaces between the inhale and the exhale. Maybe extending the count, but always keeping an even count for all 4 sides of the square. So when you've finished the next square, just allow the breathing to return to normal. And then when you're ready, a little wiggle of the fingers and toes and opening the eyes. So like I say, it's not one that I use a lot, but I think it's a really useful one to have a go with. And the other option that you have with this is to draw it. So again, if you were journaling, another good one for if you're bored in a meeting at work. You can tell how I used to fill my time, can't you, in another life. But you can actually draw the square. So you inhale for 4, hold, exhale, hold, and you can just continue. Obviously it'll look slightly bizarre if you keep drawing those squares all along, but you know, you could just, but I mean, that's also just another option. If it helps you with the focus and actually staying present doing it. So if your mind is really, really busy, then actually that process of drawing the square as well might be really useful for you. So that's just another little option in there. Okay. So what I'd like you to do now is, if you need to have a quick comfort break, now is the time before we come on to our little chat about visioning boards. And we're going to actually do a visualize. Why can't I say that word? Visualization. visualization. I give up. It's just not going to happen. So again, with this one, you can either just listen and do it as a meditation, or you can actually do this as a journaling exercise. So it's completely your choice. So the vision boards, I always used to think that vision boards were something that interior designer used, which it is. You know, they create mood boards to give you an idea, don't they? A lot of designers do that kind of thing. But a vision board, again, is something that's talked about a lot by life coaches. But with this book, Tara's book, The Source, it's the first time that I've actually seen the vision boards actually given a bit of science behind it. So I've actually included the guide in your booklet on how to do a vision board. You'll find certain magazines will give you vision board packs. So I think it's like In the Moment magazine, their New Year magazine, there'll often be a vision board pack there, because some people like to get really crafty with it. But you find that a lot of people who are involved in sport use these kinds of techniques. So not so much about making the boards, but certainly in terms of having those visions and having those repeated visualizations of success. So it's just a really interesting way to look at these things, and it's about being able to switch the mind into a positive train of thought, and by having yourself surrounded by pictures of things that motivate you, or that you like, or that bring you comfort. And in this book, The Source, there's this whole science behind it, in terms of even like how you lay out the pictures, and certain things can't be touching other things. It's really, really interesting, and I've not heard it described like that before. But I've got a little bit to read out for you here about how sports people, particularly athletes, use it. And this is a quote from a lady called Sonia Moses. And she says, athletes like Jessica Ennis know that the mind is as important as muscle when it comes to winning. Studies have proven that athletes who imagine running a race in a certain time are able to execute it better than those who don't. When you see competitors pre-game or race, eyes closed, heads bobbing, what they are doing is running through what's about to happen in their mind's eye, working out the best possible outcome. The repetition of affirmations leads to belief. And once that belief becomes a deep conviction, things begin to happen. So it's very much about having those images in your mind or on a board in front of you. So those neural pathways are being used or being created all the time. And there's also a really good TED talk by a lady called Amy Cuddy, who talks about power poses, and it's the same kind of thing. Again, it's one that's been watched, one of the most watched TED talks. And it's about sort of striking a pose, and she talks about sort of if before you go into a job interview, or you're going to do a really important presentation. And so I've always sort of got this vision of, like, you know, you sneak into the toilets beforehand and start going rah, and striking all these power poses. But again, there's a really strong stream of science behind this kind of stuff. So I just thought it would be really useful to do this tonight, and it's called 5 Mirrors. So like I say, it's up to you if you want to do this just in your mind or written down. But if you are going to relax to do this, then I want you to get yourselves into your comfy position. So that's either seated, comfy seated position, or lying down. And if you are journaling, pencil at the ready. So even if you're journaling, you can close your eyes to begin with and just draw the attention to the breath. So it's always how we start. just by tuning into the breath, slowing down the breath, deepening the breath down into the tummy, and then slowly exhaling. So just a few times here with this slow, controlled inhale and exhale. And noticing any areas of tension in the face, in the jaw, in the cheeks. And a little shimmy into the shoulders if you're seated. And a little wiggle into the lower back, just to check how that's feeling in the lower back. A little squeeze of the buttocks, and then release. And a little squeeze of the muscles in the legs, and then release. And a little wiggle into the toes. And then exhale and release. So in your mind's eye, I want you to look down at your feet, and you're walking down some stone steps. And imagine yourself standing in front of a door, roughly carved into a mountain. You push your hand against the door and it opens, and you step inside. And as your eyes grow accustomed to the dim lighting, you realize that you're standing in front of 5 full-length mirrors. You look around. It's a huge cavern. Notice the color of the walls. Whether or not there's windows. And then look at the 5 full-length mirrors. And the shape of the mirrors. Are they all the same? Are they all different? Are they plain? Or are they ornamental? You walk up to the first mirror. And in this mirror, you look at yourself and you're wearing your favorite sports kit. As you look at yourself, you notice something about your posture, your poise, the glow of your skin, the tone of your muscles. And you can tell by the way that you look that you are tension-free and that you are at the peak of your physical fitness. Examine your reflection and drink in this image. What do you look like? What are you wearing? What does your hair look like? You're looking at yourself and you look strong. You have stamina and inner calm. You then walk over to the second mirror. And in this mirror, you are wearing only your underwear. But you can see the light in your eyes, the glossiness of your hair. Your skin looks amazing. And you can just tell that you are healthy, you are well. because you've taken time to care for your body. You are nourished, you are hydrated. And then just take a mental photograph of yourself, of all the things that you notice about yourself at your healthiest. What is it that you can see? You then decide to walk over to the third mirror. And in this mirror, you are wearing the perfect work outfit. Now, it might be the sharpest business suit and shoes that you have ever owned. It could be surgical scrubs. It could be stylish, smart cash. Whatever works for you. The ease of your stance and the scene in the background tell you that you have reached the pinnacle of your career success, with all of the comfort and security that goes with it. What does that look like? You are exuding confidence from every cell of your body. Notice the details in this reflected self. You then wander over to the fourth mirror. You are happy and relaxed and surrounded by all of the people who you love and who love you. You're in your favorite social setting, wearing your favorite casual, comfy clothes. You can hear laughter. You can see joy on your face. And it's obvious that there's love in the room between the people that make you feel warm and fuzzy. Bottle that feeling up. Bottle that feeling so that you can open that bottle anytime. You walk to the fifth mirror, and in this mirror, you are fit, you are healthy, you're confident, successful, happy and loved. A combination of all of the attributes shown in the previous four mirrors. But this is not a mirror, it's a portal. And you walk through this portal into this life where you are healthy, happy, confident, and loved. Stay in this portal where you are healthy, you are happy, you are confident, you are loved. So as you exit the portal, you find yourself standing with your back to that stone door. And you know that something has changed in your life forever, something good. You go through the door and you watch your feet climbing back up the steps. So just wiggle your fingers and toes. Either just staying exactly where you are, or just taking the opportunity to maybe have another little write down if you want to, if there's anything that's popped up there in your journal. And just make a note. So we're going to finish off with another Yoga Nidra tonight. So you can stay exactly where you are. So you don't have to move at all. If you do want to move to grab something that's going to make you more comfortable, so whether it's cushions for under your knees, whether it's a blanket, whether it's an eye pillow, anything like that at all, you want to be super comfy. Now in your booklet, I think it was last week when we did the first Nidra, there was something in one of the little sheets about brainwaves. And so when we're in Nidra, we're particularly looking to be in theta brainwave, which is where we're relaxed, but we're still conscious. And so this is what the music is that we've had going tonight. There's that element of the theta waves in it. And so particularly this last one. So if you're using the playlists, like I say, it's just an optional extra, but if it's something that really works for you, I think it can be really beneficial, particularly for a Nidra. So it's the last one, it's Endless Journey, and it's theta waves. So you can pop that on. And just do anything else that you need to do. So as I said last week, the faffing is important. Do not rule out the importance of the faff. Okay. So just before you settle in, grab another pillow if you need to. Remember, take the bra off. It's always an option. Let the girls free. And also, we'll finish tonight. Well, we'll finish and say official goodbye now, because I don't want you to feel that you need to say goodbye. So if you want to, because you might just want to stay where you are or go straight to sleep. So if you want to, you can switch your camera off now as well. So this is a slightly different Nidra tonight. This is a Himalayan Nidra. So we did Satyananda last week. So this is slightly different this week. So we're going to just settle in. So closing the eyes, getting yourself comfortable. Settling into the breath, the tides of the breath. The breath is effortless through the body. Welcoming the breath and the spaces in between the breath. Hear the sound of the breath moving, and welcome any of the sounds that you can hear as sounds of home. And on the next exhale, let go of anything that you need to let go of. Anything that's not serving you, anything that you need to release. And now that you've made space on that inhale, welcome in well-being and vitality. Noticing the movements of the breath, the belly rising and falling. The lungs filling and emptying. And let the tide of breath move effortlessly. Just witnessing the breath. And bringing the awareness from the top of the head all the way down to the soles of the feet. And then back up the spine to the top of the head. And then bringing the focus to the space between the eyebrows, to deep inside the middle of the head. And let your attention settle there as a little star. So just visualizing that little star in the middle of the head, and let the breath flow to the points of the star. And then bringing the attention to the space between the collarbones and just placing a little star there. And then another on the right shoulder, another on the elbow, and a little star onto the wrist. And then on the tip of each finger and the thumb, 5 little stars shining brightly on the right hand. And then coming back up the wrist, the elbow, the shoulder. And bringing the awareness back to that little shiny star in the space between the collarbones. Being aware of that constellation of little stars all over the right arm. And then coming to the left shoulder, placing a little star on the left shoulder and another on the elbow, one on the wrist, and then 5 little stars on the 4 fingers and the thumb of the left hand. Those 5 shining little stars. And then coming back to the wrist, the elbow, the shoulder. And again back to the space between the collarbones. And then to the heart center, placing a shining star in the heart center. One on the right breast, one on the left breast, one on the tummy, and another little star on the pelvis. And then placing a little star on the right hip, another on the knee, another on the ankle. And then on the tip of the big toe, on the right foot, a little star. And then the second, third, fourth, fifth, 5 little stars shine on that right foot. And then coming back up to the ankle, the knee, the hip, to the center of the pelvis. And then placing a little star on the left hip, the knee, the ankle. And then a little star on the tip of the left big toe. And then the second toe, third, fourth, fifth, 5 toes together. And then coming back up, the ankle, the knee, the hip, the pelvis, the tummy, the heart center. Coming back to the space between the collarbones. And then higher still, back to the space between the eyebrows, to the middle of the head. And then just being aware of the light and the energy of every single shiny star all over your body. Being aware of each star with each breath. And then bringing the focus to the movements of the breath. Starting from the eyebrow center. And exhaling all the way down to the toes. And then inhale back up to the eyebrow center. Exhaling down to the toes. And inhale back up to the eyebrow center. So just a few more times here. Exhaling down to the toes. And inhaling all the way back up to the eyebrow center. And then on the next exhale, exhaling down to the knees. And inhaling back up to the eyebrow center. Exhaling down to the knees. And then sweeping the breath back up. Inhaling up to the eyebrow center. Just a few more times. And then from the eyebrow center, exhaling down to the pelvis. And inhaling up to the eyebrow center. Exhaling down to the pelvis. Inhaling back up to the eyebrow center. A few more times here. And then on the next exhale, exhaling to the heart space. And inhaling back to the eyebrow center. Exhaling to the heart space. And inhaling back to the eyebrows. And then shortening the focus from the eyebrow center, exhaling down just to the nostrils, the tip of the nose, and inhaling back to the eyebrow center. Just a few more times here. Just exhaling to the nostrils and then back up to the eyebrow center. And then letting go of any directive movements of the breath and just being aware of the natural tide of the breath. And then, without too much effort, slowly begin to shift the body so that you're lying on your left side. So just slowly rolling over onto your left side. And then allow just the right side of the body to breathe. Resting the arms wherever they are comfy. And just spending some time here on the right side. Breathing the right side of the body, breathing. So just a few more times here. Breathing just with the right side of the body. And then don't disturb yourself too much, but when you're ready, rolling over onto the right side of the body. So just shifting onto the right side and feeling like it is the left side of the body breathing. So just the left side of the body breathing. And just staying here. Deep, relaxing breaths with the left side of the body. And then either staying where you are or returning onto the back, so lying on your back, and again letting go of any direction of the breath, settling into the space between the collarbones, and in that space visualizing a full moon. Bright, shining full moon. And then bringing the attention to the heart space, the deep heart's core. And here, no mantra, no image, just breathing into the space of the heart. So staying here for as long as you like. And then when you're ready to come out of your nidra, just taking your time to ease yourself back into your surroundings and taking your time. But I'll say good night now. Thank you very much. See you all next week.